Welcome to the Senior Podcast Show. I'm your host, Kori Lehr. I'm the Director of Communications for the Senior Companies. We are back today with two very special guests. Thank you both so much for joining me.
Happy to be here.
Yeah, thank you for having us join you.
Yeah, I'm so happy. We have Nolan Poloney here. He is the Executive Director of All Seasons Rochester Hills. Welcome.
Thank you very much.
And on this side, we have Misch.
Yes,
he
correct.
is the Life Enrichment Director of All Seasons Rochester Hills. You guys bring a lot to the table. You have such different backgrounds. I can't wait to be able to have our audience learn a little bit more about you because they are so diverse, especially when it comes to senior living. I love the All Seasons brand is always thinking outside of the box and how to really bring something different to the table for their residents. And I think looking outside of the normal backgrounds really hits the nail on the head because it brings another level of dynamics to the community. I'm going to take it over to you first. And Can you just tell us a little bit about your background and what led you to All Seasons Rochester Hills?
Long story short, I am a...
We got time?
No, I am a former chef turned executive. I worked in kitchens. I apprenticed as a chef, and I got to a point where I no longer wanted to be in the kitchen. I wanted to run the show, basically. And I ended about 12 years ago getting into senior living, working in nursing homes, and I worked my way up from being a general manager up now to the executive director for All Seasons. And I've been 4 years, Mark? 4 years now.
4 years, yes.
4 years with All Seasons Rochester Hills.
That is so interesting. So do you sometimes, are the residents asking you to show your cooking skills?
Let's roll the clip of the egg.
Uh-oh.
So yes, we definitely we'll do culinary chats, cooking talk with Nolan. We'll share recipes. I'll demo cook from time to time. It's also a really nice way when you're having to address concerns in the building and talk to residents. Hey, let me feed you.
Oh, yeah.
And then
Number
tell you
one
something.
go-to.
Butter them up. Literally, butter them up.
They say feed me and call me pretty, right?
No, but Mark definitely takes advantage of that. And we have done lectures on specific types of food, demo cook specific types of food. And it's a great way of interacting with the residents.
Wow, that's such an interesting transition.
And he's also multi-talented too because he's a great gardener. So in the spring we do like a floral workshop. So he really engages them in that way outside. And we do like between the two of us and our other team members, help with the floral displays. So they like to see that side of him too. So it's not just enforcing some of the rules or talking about upgrades about, the new furniture coming in or the new wallpaper or new capital projects or about carpeting,
Much more approachable. Because I do think there's something like, executive director, not approachable. Apparently not. He cooks eggs and he gardens. Yes. Mark, what about you? What brought you to senior living?
Well, what happened is I kind of moved back to my hometown of Rochester about 15 years ago. I lived in LA for a long time, working in Hollywood with actors and films and TV at Fox and whatnot. Which was great. But then I worked as a school teacher and also at a church doing youth ministry. And the through line is I was helping people on their journey, whether you're a fourth grader, whether you're an actor, you're Ryan Seacrest, perhaps, what have you, or like my parents in their days of being a senior here in Rochester, I would kind of create my own life enrichment for my parents, even though they were active and mobile and involved within the community, take them to the baseball games, take them to out to go swimming. And then when my dad passed, I thought I should probably do this like full time because people say, oh, you're so great with your parents and whatnot. So then I started looking around and I want to, you get to a certain age where driving outside your community is just too much. And why, right? So I found All Seasons. It was literally in my backyard, right up Rochester Road, and literally off the road, just the same amount. Now I'm about a mile away, just moved.
Wow.
So there again, it's helping seniors in their journey in this time because some of them want to be where they're at, but some of them, they've moved and they understand it's not, it's a different chapter. So let's make it come alive and make it exciting. So that's kind of why I feel it's a good match.
So you've sort of been a teacher all your life in a sense.
Correct.
Just as transition.
Correct. And it's that hospitality part like Nolan as well. That was my major. So it's hospitality, welcoming them, making them feel comfortable and uplifting and just seeing them through that journey is kind of how I see it.
Can I mention the story of how we hired him?
Sure. Yeah. Okay. Is that okay with you?
Sure. There's a story.
Don't worry, it's not too glamorous.
Okay.
He brought in a marching band. Yeah. I'm just kidding.
No. He had been applying at other senior communities. he came into All Seasons Rochester Hills, and he applied to be a chauffeur, a driver. And he comes with this huge resume of working in California, and he knows all these celebrities. What are you doing looking to be a driver? And then you realize you have this man who's extremely humble, who wants to help people enrich their lives. And it's like, yeah, absolutely. And so we originally hired him as one of our drivers and chauffeurs. He drove our bus for probably about a year.
Oh yes, I still drove it yesterday. In fact, I mean, it's a great tool to have in like your, trip, and you really get to connect with residents.
People, places,
correct,
so.
And you get to really connect. Sometimes there's like our other driver was there 16 years. Yeah. You really get to hear such interesting stories about their lives, and they share with you about their family and their careers, their interests. You get to know them in a whole different way outside the house.
Well,
right?
there's a whole carpool karaoke show on the very same thing.
And the things they say to the back of your head, right? That you really get to hear some amazing stories,
So anyways, we had another Life Enrichment director in place, Zach. Wonderful. Did his job for several years. He was looking to be promoted.
Sure.
Natural promotion. He ends up going into the Birmingham location, and now he's their assistant executive director. So we have this big hole to fill, right?
Big shoes
to fill. Mark was a perfect fit. Took right over, and he's done a wonderful job. And
Stop.
It doesn't matter like what community you're part of, whether it's All Seasons or another senior community, that Life Enrichment director is a key component to the success of the community. And each one brings a different angle, a different style, a different strength. And when we looked at Mark and all the strengths that he brought when it came to understanding, acting and improv and how to throw an event and just make it truly what we stand for, to be enriching and enlivening and captivating, he was a perfect fit. And yet he still maintains that humility to, hey, I'm going to take the bus out full of seniors, and we're going to Bourdain's, or we're going to this place or that
party.
Sounds
like.
So he was a wonderful fit, and he's done an excellent job for us at Rochester Hills.
I love the improv part of it too, because being able to be a chameleon and adapt to others' personalities and be what they need you to be in that moment is a really huge part. Because like we were talking off camera, when people come in to move into a community, they don't come in because it looks beautiful, because the food is really good. That might be what brings them to a tour, but what keeps them there is the team.
Yeah, it's how they feel. We always say that when you walk into the door, you should feel welcomed the minute you walk in. You should feel the tempo of the building. You should feel the culture of the building.
Vibe?
Exactly. What's the vibe of the community when you walk into it? And Mark is one of those people that as you're taking someone on a tour, or you're just going through the community, whether it's outreach or a prospect or family member, he's always lively. He's always part of the community. He's being hospitable. He's enriching their life too. It's great to see that happen.
Well, I think our whole team does that from the get-go. The folks in the dining department, and the housekeeping, because they're in their apartments, working with them, so they're connecting. Right. So I really feel blessed to have that whole team approach. I have the gift. My office is kind of the main thoroughfare. Sometimes it's like Nolan will tell me, you sometimes have to like close the door to get like computer work done and paperwork.
You're planning,
which is one of my weaknesses,
Yeah.
But I get to talk to the people if I'm not out at an event and see family members coming to visit. So they come in and we chat for a bit and get to know the families as well, which I think is I'm sure it happens at other communities, but in Rochester Hills, All Seasons, I feel connected to so many family members,
Yeah.
And they're always like, my name. I'm like, well, I don't know all the kids and the grandkids and then the pets, but you try. And that was one of the silver linings of the pandemic, if there were, because when we had to scale back during certain times during those months and years.
Black days.
Yes. But we got to meet them at the door and got to connect that way and had like Zach had a social cart going down the hallway, and we'd visit outside and play music out each door, for a while, or did things outside as best we could. So, and each week to Nolan's, I'll give him credit. He was, praising me each week when there'd be this press conference. I'd be off on a Monday. Let's say I'm like, oh my gosh, last hired is first to go. I'm going to be looking for a job,
I'll be looking in the window.
Exactly. Help me. But no, we just broadened what we did. We helped out with deliveries of the food. Whatever we did, Life Enrichment means so much.
It's about the team.
Yeah. Correct. It's not just about activities. It's also Sometimes it's helping their apartment, having a sink that flows. Sometimes you have to help out the maintenance team because they need a sink that's working that enriches their lives as much as going to the DIA, you know?
So I like that we're talking about enrichment, because really what I wanted to talk about in this episode is we talk about how important it is for people to have a purpose. And that's at any age. Sometimes we get lost throughout our lives, and, hopefully you can come back around and find what that purpose is. And it'll change, like we've talked about in your past, like it changes throughout your life. So how do you keep that relevant, especially for seniors now? And as people retire and they're looking for other things to do, like, how do you really get those people involved? And why do you feel like it's important for them to have that purpose or to try to find it? I mean, I think, like, you have evolved many times.
Yes, and I continue to evolve because I'm not. He says I'm near perfect. I'm none of us are perfect. But,
near perfect.
But at least I admit,
Mary Poppins.
At least I admit that I have some shortcomings. But we try to, and life is live, correct? So each day it's a new experience. I mean, yes, there's things on the calendar that are happening right now, exercising, and we're having a beautiful concert this afternoon, champagne toast and whatnot. But then you meet someone one-on-one, and they just want to talk to you about what just happened with their grandchild who's graduating and what they're going on to college. That's like, so they want to just enriching their lives. Can be something one-to-one. So it can be the small little nuggets, right? It's not to be something grand where 120 people are there. It could be you're working on an art project and there's just 2 or 3 of you there making, this one little decoupage vase, let's say.
Yeah.
Correct. And that's engaging because you're not just making the vase, but you're talking about, oh, when I lived in Chicago, this happens, reminds me of this trip I took. And then that can be an uplifting experience that just really lifts up their day, just as much as, like I said, going to a big event downtown or going to the casino or going to see the Van Gogh exhibit or something.
Sometimes people just need to be heard.
Yeah. And when you think about life enrichment, my background, just like Mark, it has a lot to do with hospitality, right? So when you go to a restaurant, you go to a hotel, you go to those traditional places where you experience hospitality, what stands out to you? It's those one extras that everyone does. So you go to a restaurant, the waitress or waiter recognizes you, remembers you love an Arnold Palmer, and they bring it to you. That means something to you, right? Or you go to a hotel and someone, the housekeeper leaves a small gift on your bed for you. Those things stand out to you, right? So life enrichment needs to be just like that. There needs to be always that one extra. So you can plan programs, you can plan outings, you can put TV programs on, you can do all these different things, but what can you do that's one extra that makes it unique and special? I'll give you an example. We have historic buildings right here in Detroit. Very special. Let's just say Belle Isle. It's been around well over 100 years. Historic buildings, oldest aquarium.
That's right.
Anyone can show anybody a fish at any time. If you want to go to a pet store and see a fish, you can see a fish at any time. But to make it unique and to reach out to one of their senior aquariumists and say, hey, can we get a personalized tour to understand the history of the building, to understand what you're doing with the Detroit Zoo, to understand how you're impacting the community around you, and can we bring our seniors to enjoy that with you? That's life enrichment. That's making, we already mentioned the black days of the pandemic, the terrible days, but some people have this opinion that senior living, or it's like the end.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's the end.
They do.
It's bad. But what we can do is we can actually enrich those lives and make those final years amazing and enliven them. And those are the types of activities that you have to plan. You have to make that part of it. That's the philosophy.
Yeah. And we've talked a lot about that on this show, trying to just reinforce how much senior living has evolved and why people should not wait until they're 80 to move in.
Correct.
Moving in sooner and being a part of this programming helps foster that social connection that you guys have talked about. It can preserve and also improve their cognitive health and promote their mobility, because while someone might be sitting at home watching TV, they might decide, say, you know what, I want to watch Casablanca downstairs with everybody else. And you guys are going to have a special drink from the movie or whatever it is, right? They're going to get up and move and do it. And that might have been something that they might not have done at home. Correct. And that's a huge, huge thing. I think trying to get someone involved a little sooner, whether that is socially in a senior center where there's programming, or better yet, coming into a community living, can prevent crises from happening to begin with.
Correct. And a lot of them too, Kori, at this stage of their life, in this chapter, they want people to, maybe help them create, because they've been creating programs in their corporate lives and in their family lives, correct? So now it's their turn to sit back and enjoy. Oh, you set the whole outing, you bought the tickets, you've got it all arranged. I just show up in the lobby and out we go.
That sounds great.
And, it's not, it's not like we're going to.
When's your next one?
It's not we're going to like the Grand Canyon for a getaway for a week.
Right.
It can just be a couple hours. And sometimes sometimes the best moments are just the to and the from, going down the freeway and talking with each other, and then having a beautiful sandwich that our chef creates. They enjoy that, after the aquarium, sitting out in the picnic area and just enjoying nature and just, sometimes it can be a less is more type thing, right?
Well, I think so too. And
seeing the Van Gogh exhibit is incredible.
Yes.
But
I think some of those sweeter moments, and I think it gives people the opportunity, because as we age, sometimes we don't like to drive as much, or we know that we shouldn't because we have some health issues or whatever. So now you're getting to go and see all these things that maybe you haven't seen in 15 years. You haven't been to Balaya, or you haven't been to the DIA in years. And you're like, wow, I think I'd really like to go. Well, we're going.
Correct.
All you have to do is make it downstairs.
When it can be like a simple thing, like just before this, we did a spring tour. Your own neighborhood. After a long winter, you go and look at the new homes and see what flowers and trees have popped up and who painted their shutters different color. We did that on one Saturday. It was still a bad Michigan rainy Saturday. We walked around the whole community because people had different artwork out, outside their apartments. And people are like, I haven't been to this side because just like all of us, we take the same way to work. We walk the same way in our neighborhood. Oh, there's a whole new part of the park. Well, I'd never been over. Look at this huge river. In this case, a piece of artwork on someone's, door. They were so excited just to see, and people like put out special things to, to host. It was quite uplifting and charming.
So often when we do tours with family members and residents that come in, or prospects that come in, I will hear the term, it's a home, time to go to the home.
Oh,
it's this
it's a sterile environment.
And it has a negative context, right?
But what we go for in any senior community should be to create a true community. So that means going out and seeing what's going on around us, being part of Rochester Hills, where we're from, going to the local shops, going to the local stores, going through the neighborhood, seeing the people that maybe you grew up with, or you helped raise them. You worked at the school where their kids are now going. You're part of that community. You should feel when you walk into a senior community, it's a true community. Yeah. You should feel welcome. You should feel part of that atmosphere. And that's why it's so essential. Like for Mark, like he mentioned, sometimes less is more. A simple outing, just going around and letting people see the lights of Rochester Hills in December.
Oh, yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah, doing that more than once or twice, and you'd be surprised. You get 20, 30 residents. You say, hey, we're going to do it again 2 days or 3 days from now. They're right back down. They want to do it again.
Who doesn't like seeing the Christmas lights?
Correct. And we go into the neighborhoods, right? Because I grew up in Rochester, so I know some of the older neighborhoods to go to and know how to find some great old style decorations too. Yeah. And also being part of the community, like some of them go to the same church that I go to. So I sing in the choir. So sometimes I don't make it to church. I get it. I'm an adult. They're like, oh, we didn't see you at church. We didn't hear you sing.
This isn't confession time.
That's yes.
Sorry, I needed to take a little
but that's
rest.
Also kind of a different connection, right? And so it's you are like a family. We have lush surroundings and beautiful trees out in Rochester Hills. So it's kind of like an older style community because the trees are so big and we're like right in the midst of the neighborhood. Like other communities that we have, Birmingham is a more urban setting right in the beautiful downtown Birmingham. But we have huge trees and all the flowers and deer and, so that's kind of exciting too. I think that adds to the appeal.
And I like too, you mentioned before, making sure that you're getting residents' feelings, suggestions. I think too, sometimes in our life, we always think, oh, I've always wanted to do this. I've always wanted to try to make this, or I always wanted to learn this skill. I think it's cool because if you guys can, you'll try to incorporate some of those things that people maybe have not got a chance to do in their life as far as hobbies and crafts and things like that too, which adds a lot to someone's life as well, right? They can check it off their list and feel good about it.
It's yearly, you should communicate with your residents and say, what would you like to see this year? but that's one time. You should do that. What you should also do, that one extra, is on a consistent basis, be in open communication. Take the feedback from those residents. What do you want to see? What do you want to hear? And not be opposed to accepting it. That's what they're telling you, honestly. I've never met a dishonest 85-year-old person.
Yeah.
They're sometimes brutally honest.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Which is fantastic.
Yeah, but
Then you know where you stand.
Yeah.
yes, but you take that feedback and you accept it and say, okay, you know what? This is what they want to see. This is what they want to do. And
then why would you not do that?
Exactly.
That just makes no sense.
Exactly.
Because really, you guys work in their home. So why would you not take that feedback?
Exactly.
Obviously, everybody has differing opinions, and just what one person wants doesn't be the end all
Correct.
be all. But, you might try to add one little extra thing just to make some progress in that direction.
You try to find time in the calendar. So how come this happens? Well, there's about 6 to 8 people that like the Berliner Philharmonic. And there's that 60 to 80 minutes. We show that. But if you like something else, we offer that too. If you want to. And then I also say on the weekends or at night, you can also then have your own resident, run event like you do in real life, right? This is real life. It's still their life and it's real, So
when someone goes on a tour in community living, if it's like their very first time or they've just done a few, what sort of questions in regard to life enrichment programs do you think that they should ask? And I want to piggyback off of what you said. What sort of answers should they be looking for in return?
Good question.
You want to go first? You want me to go
why
first?
don't you go first, Nolan?
I'll go first.
There we go.
So I wouldn't say there are specific questions that they should be asking. What they should be doing is observing. They should be looking to see the reactions of residents. They should be listening. Do you hear laughter? Do you hear joking? Do you hear, and you know what celebration sounds like.
Yeah.
You know what a good time sounds like.
Because it makes you go,
exactly.
what's going on over there?
Hey.
What are they doing in that room over there?
Yeah.
That's what they should be hearing. That's what they should be seeing with their eyes. If you walk into a community, any community, and it's sterile, it's quiet, it's cold, that's not welcoming. That's not a community. You want to be able to see that enrichment going on and life, and people are enjoying themselves. So whether it's a board game or it's a concert or we brought in a lecture, we brought something else into the community for them to interact with, they should be enjoying it. They should be having fun, and you should be able to visually see it, hear it, and understand what they're going through.
So then would you recommend not having someone come in during, not for the community specifically, but if someone was just popping in, like not going at meal times, because meal times, then it always looks more bustling regardless.
I always encourage come during food service. Always come during mealtime, because you need to see the reaction of residents' faces. You need to see.
They're not this.
No.
Yes. Yeah. And you know what? You brought up a really nice point. You can't satisfy everyone every single day of the week.
Of course, you can't.
And I always mention to people who come in and tour, how many meals have you cooked over the last 50, 60 years? Thousands. Was every single one of them amazing? No, not everything's good. But when you look into the dining room and it's full of faces, they're laughing, they're joking, they're eating, the service staff is interacting with them, it's right. I always encourage come during a mealtime. We have a lot of tours around lunch. We have a lot of tours right around 4:00, the start of dinner service. We want them to see residents interacting with each other. Look at your future neighbors. Look at your future community.
Oh.
Look at who you're going to be interacting with daily. Do they look like a fun group? Are they having a good time? That's what we want them to see.
Wow.
And we work with the leasing team to know when there are tours and what's going on that day. We have a weekly, calendar that goes out. But if there's times when they're coming in and there's maybe not an event at that time, at least try to show something so the family members that are touring coming in, this is what it would look like.
Get a taste
Correct.
of what it looks like.
Yes. And especially now with the nicer weather too, there's just more people out and about. They're out walking and enjoying the environment and the beautiful, the flora.
The sun. Oh my gosh.
What?
Can
The
we just
sun?
say thank you for that these past couple of days? Sheesh.
Another recommendation, ask to try the food. Let's say the dining room's packed and maybe there's not a table available. Ask to take home a dinner.
Wow.
Why not?
What if they say no? Do you think that's a sign of not?
I'm not going to say whether that's the right thing to do or not do, but I will tell you, if you come into my community and you're touring and this is a possibility for you, we'll have dinner to go for you, or come join us in our private dining room and we'll grab 1 or 2 residents, bring them in. Let's sit down and have dinner together.
What time's lunch?
From 11 to 1.
I will say you have to be 62 plus to live in our community.
Oh, you can come in for lunch. Come in for lunch.
3 days a week?
Yes.
You're just down the street.
Exactly.
I do want to specifically, like, we've talked a lot about what people should look for, what kind of questions they should ask. Why is the Life Enrichment program so important in these communities? But I do want to talk about Rochester Hills All Seasons specifically. So can you tell us what style apartments you guys have, how many you have, sort of what is the layout of the community? Because now we know it's bustling.
Correct.
So we are independent living. We have about 144 apartments in our community.
Wow.
2 bedroom, 2 bathroom, 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom. There's all different types of floor plans and layouts, multiple courtyards. We are not assisted living. We are not a memory care, and we're not skilled nursing. But we do have the ability for our residents to have services if they need.
Okay.
They can contract
For shorter or
with,
longer term, right?
Yeah.
Just for a couple weeks or depending.
Right. So, and really they can contract with any home health care company they want to, because we want them to feel safe and comfortable in their home. But that's the basics of what All Seasons Rochester Hills is. And if you want to get into like the life enrichment part of it, I mean, we could be here probably for hours talking about all the cool programs that we've done. But in general, the building itself, we've been in Rochester Hills for almost 20 years. The building is 18 years old now.
I would have never guessed that, and you will not know that if you take a tour.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
No, it still looks
you will
quite
have
new and
no
fresh, yes.
clue.
Yeah, and that comes from a really, really nice ownership group that's not afraid to continue to invest in a building, to continue to upgrade the building, keep it modern, keep it clean, keep it crisp. And really, I give a lot of credit to the day-to-day staff. They take ownership of that community. If there is a smudge on the door, you'll see our AED, Alicia, she's cleaning it. They take that pride in it, so it looks crisp because of the staff too.
That's amazing. And I want to piggyback off that because you guys are releasing some news today, which really takes that message home.
Nolan.
Yes. So we're going to be doing today with our residents a champagne toast and a little event for them because we were recognized by U.S. News as being best of senior living in Rochester Hills.
That's incredible.
And
that's a big honor.
It is a huge honor. That means a lot to me personally. So I want to make sure today the residents are well aware of it. Also, our staff, because they're the ones, like, you know, we talk all great about Mark, but his team does an amazing job too.
There are many
and
people. There's all the staff is fantastic.
Yeah, there's about 40 some employees on the property that do an amazing job every day. And so when you look at, if you were to go onto the U.S. News website and you were to put our zip code in, click independent living, search a 10-mile radius, we are the only community in Rochester Hills that received that recognition.
And I will say there are a lot of different places to choose from in the area. And even if it's you say a 10-mile radius, I mean, I don't even think that's even necessary to mention because that is a big honor. And that's not the only one that you guys have received lately either.
We also, for our 4th year in a row, we've received our Kingsley Resident Satisfaction Survey, one of the highest in the company. You had Jeremy on
I did.
the other day. There's a little internal competition between us.
I think they got one too, I think.
He dethroned me.
But now you're back, King Charles.
No, we in the Best Tech All Seasons world, All Seasons Rochester Hills was #1 in the senior living portfolio for years. And then some guy named Jeremy came into Birmingham.
New too. He's the new kid on the block.
Yeah, and kicked me out of my title. Knocked me down to #2. So
I wish I would have had you on first because then I could have, been like a little. No, I'm just kidding.
No, Jeremy's a great guy.
No, he really is, and he's got a great story as well.
Exactly, and Birmingham is a beautiful location. They do a wonderful job. The team there is excellent too. So they earned it. They deserved it. But to get 4 years in a row consistently, that resident satisfaction survey is huge.
That's maybe even more impressive than the U.S. News, and I say that because those are the opinions of the people who live there. And that's who you're really trying to impress at the end of the day.
Correct.
Correct.
When I think also we talked about the silver linings of that pandemic. that all our departments during the last three and a half years put on different hats. You know, the dining team helps out my department with the activities. You know, if we have our drivers are out driving, I need help with the social, they come help me. If I need to help out in dining, or our leasing people come in and help pour coffee, right? Because they need people help out at breakfast, or we stay late and help out at dinner. And, you know, we help out with the housekeepers and the maintenance if there's, you know,
Teamwork.
So we all kind of help. Yep. We all help each other because we're all there to enrich the residents. It's not my job, my department, I'm in this little box. No, it's all here for the residents, and that's, you know, we're in their home.
Yeah, and then you said the last 4 years?
Correct.
So that you guys continued to have high resident satisfaction throughout the pandemic, and that is a huge one because we all have heard horror stories about how other places dealt with that. And so to keep that throughout the pandemic is amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Well done to you both, because that was a hard time, especially for the senior community.
To Nolan and his leadership and all the departments, and, you know, and the family support that we get too from our residents.
That's true.
The kids and the grandkids and even great grandkids that come in, and, you know, sometimes they bring their pets, you know, so it is that they all were supportive and help us get through that and continue to now in these quote unquote normal times.
Yeah. So you guys have state-of-the-art exercise facilities. Like you've mentioned, chauffeured transportation a few times. You have a valet service. You guys have concierge, a theater room. You have salon. I mean, you name it. I really encourage our listeners to come and meet you both in person. You can also talk to Catherine. Catherine is a big part of your team. She's more than happy to take you on a tour. You can give them a call at 586-884-7870. You can also go on their website. I think they have some layouts on there, some other pictures of the community, so you can sort of see what it looks like before you come and take a tour. But at least now you'll know two friendly faces who are going to be there too to sort of welcome you. On that note, is there anything else that you guys would like to share? Oh, I know. Maybe share your publication.
Oh. This one here?
Yeah, that one.
This one.
That's
we have
same
that
one.
Right. There you go. Nolan, have you talked about it? You have a copy?
You know what? I got my copy here. So this is available online. So if you go to our website, go under Life Enrichment, you can take this and go through it. They're made quarterly. It basically highlights some of the big events that are going on in the community for right now. This one is for spring and summer. And so where are we going? What are we doing? What new technology are we trying? What are we introducing our residents to? It's all listed in here. I do want to speak to a program that I think is very unique to us in Michigan. It's our Artist in Residency program.
Yes.
And this is something that I had personally never heard of in senior living. And when you get to experience it, it's so cool. We take this young artist. Right now, we've got a musician. They're professionals. They're extremely talented. And we provide them somewhere to live. We provide them a stage to perform on. We provide them the opportunity to create music pieces. And then on top of it, our seniors get to enjoy it on a regular basis. And it's for the summer. Typically it goes from the end of March through August, maybe into September. When college starts getting back up, you know, they go to their, if they're trying to get a doctorate or wherever, their masters are trying to get, but we actually house them. And last year we had a young gentleman, a unique story. And I won't give all the details of it because it is really cool, but he's from Russia. And here we got this situation where he comes to America to learn about music. He's extremely talented. And all of a sudden a war breaks out.
Right.
He's cut off from his family. He's cut off from funding from Russia. He's cut off from all of his friends. And so what does All Seasons do? We took him in. And then he performed for us on a regular basis. Some of the residents built connections with this young man. He still writes to them. He still communicates with them. And on top of that, he didn't even have a car. He lost everything.
That's terrible.
And what do the residents do? They take him for rides. They took him. So
where do you need to go?
Yeah, I mean, if you think about what's the golden rule? There's more happiness in giving than receiving.
That's right.
Right? Here, these residents are receiving this beautiful gift of an amazing pianist. Like, he's phenomenal. And they want to give right back to him.
Oh.
I mean, that's life enrichment right there.
That
at its
is.
best. And this year
talks about that purpose again, right?
Yeah.
Like they're like, I have some things that I can offer you
Yes.
as well.
this year, now that gentleman, he's moved on to, he's getting his doctorate in Yale right now. So
Wow.
he's moved on. This year we have a young lady, her name is Jingjing Wan. She's a pianist. She specializes in chamber music. She's touring the different All Seasons, creating musical pieces specific for us, specific for her education.
Wow.
She's scheduled, and I don't mean to put you on the spot,
Next
Mark,
Friday, the
thank you.
19th of May at 2:00.
Yes, she'll be in our community for the first time, and she'll stay in the community from time to time in our guest suite, or she'll stay in Ann Arbor, wherever she's closest to. She'll travel down to our Arizona location, our Naples location, and she'll perform down there as well. So it's something maybe you'd find it out in New York or California, but I don't know any communities in Michigan that do that, where they bring an artist in.
I haven't either.
And I have someone above me, Natalie Stringer. She's the corporate person who kind of oversees all of the All Seasons communities to help find those special artists or activities or people, because, you know, she goes out to the Ann Arbors and Detroits and finds the jazz performers, or we did this Mardi Gras event with the Puppet Company of Detroit and had a Mardi Gras parade
cool.
2 years in a row. It was fantastic. But Natalie kind of unearths those. And this competition's like not American Idol style, but that like All Seasons Idol, where we found our Cindy last year, now Jingjing this year. And it's amazing because it's exciting for the residents not to see this talent, and not to focus on age, but these are young people. It's the future.
Yeah.
To find a 20-something who is interested in chamber
time
music,
to that?
and because it's a risky profession, you know, that might not be, you know, it's to find work and to find, you know, to earn a living in that wants to find that. It's exciting for the residents, and then to hear it and to see it evolve in front of them over the 2 or 3 months or more that they're with us.
And when
It's very, very exciting.
And when you think about that philosophy of that one extra of hospitality, always doing one more, how often do you get to go to a world-class performance, see the performance, and then have a meal and talk with the main performer to connect with them? Mm-hmm. You don't have that opportunity. But here at All Seasons, we bring it to you. You get to have a custom personalized performance, and then you get to have food with them. You get to have drink with them.
That's the whole
You get to learn about them.
Yes.
Yeah. Our residents, when we had our
Arseny.
I always say his name wrong. Thank you, Mark, for backing me up.
Nolan.
When he was in our community, I had residents come up to us saying, "We're seeing history being made. This person's going to be a world-class musician. They already have performed throughout the world, but they're going to be the next major person." And we got to see him in a group of 50 people. That intimate, you know. So that's just one of those cool programs. Natalie created it. I was back in 2020. She pitched it to one of our ownership partners, Jerry, and he loved it. Obviously, pandemic happened. 2022 rolls around, and it's time to make this happen.
Yeah.
And she created the program from the ground up, and she's done a wonderful job with it. And it's continuing to evolve. Now the University of Michigan is involved in it too. So it's growing, and it's once again something unique. You probably will only find it at All Seasons in Michigan.
I have not heard of any other program like this within a community at all, and I've done my fair share of interviews now. So
Yeah, well, come on over next Friday or in June, July.
yeah, that sounds amazing. And I think you're changing lots of people's lives, right? You're changing that artist's lives, and you're changing, you know, the residents' lives, and music just invokes something in our spirits. And
Yes.
I think that's amazing. The last thing I have, so we talked a ton about everything that you guys offer. And I do encourage you guys to go on their website to find this book. Just a couple of clicks. It's a electronic PDF. We can link that down below as well. But again, you can reach them at 586-884-7870. If you have any questions about anything senior living related, or you have topic suggestions, you can reach me at kl@theseniormovers.com or at 586-204-8500. Please go on, find us on YouTube at The Senior Companies. You can find us on Facebook at The Senior Movers. We're also on Instagram at EdViso. Like, comment, and share. We love to have your feedback. Let us know how these guys did. Yeah.
Please be kind.
Please share your feedback. No, you guys were so nice to each other. What could they possibly have to say?
Well, I guess we'll see what they have to say.
I'll make sure I forward you all of those.
Thank you.
No, I'm
Thank you,
just kidding.
Kori.
But Nolan and Mark, thank you again so much for being here. I really think this was an amazing conversation, and I do think that there are lots of things for people to come and see themselves.
Well, great. Thank you, Kori, for having us. Your whole staff here has been fantastic and inviting in this podcast format.
It is our pleasure. And so to our audience, we'll see you next time on the Senior Podcast Show.